don't know what any of that means. A2000 from Feiyutech. What the heck is this? This is a 3-axis motorized gimbal from Feiyutech, meant for mirrorless cameras or cameras similar in weight. And today we're gonna dig into it. Hold on. Before I open this, let me catch you up to speed with where I'm at on gimbals. I initially bought a gimbal because I wanted something to do cool behind the scenes videos for YouTube on, as well as when I'm working as a videographer. Definitely an awesome tool to have, especially now that mirrorless cameras are so good, and these are so good for those small mirrorless cameras, and they don't take up a lot of space. You know, the power of a 3-axis gimbal from what it was 5 years ago is just insane what you can do with this stuff. So it's a great tool to have. First one I bought was the Zhiyun Crane. Did not like it. I had so many little firmware issues with it, and I found when I just handed it off to somebody to use, they really couldn't get stable video with it. It had a very consistent tick to it that made it really a pain in the ass to use. Then I saw a great deal on the Feiyutech MG version 2, so I bought that one, and at the same time as I returned my Zhiyun Crane. And now I loved that Feiyutech one. That Feiyutech was awesome, but one little problem that I had with it is that the axis gimbal for the tilt was on the left side of the camera, and the way the MG V2 had to be, you had to push the camera all the way up to the side in order for it to work. And when using that with a Sony a6500, that's where my audio input is. And one of the things I want for my BTS is to be able to put audio hooked up to my lav mic, so this cable sticking out right here didn't allow it to push right up against it. Also, if I were to switch to a camera that had a flip out screen on the left, I couldn't use it at all. So that's where this comes into play. And now you're caught up to speed on my gimbal journey. Jeez. It's a very satisfying opening experience. Paperwork. This is important. Normally I throw camera paperwork away, but this stuff's always a pain for me to set up, and definitely important for me to keep this stuff around. Ooh, look at that. It's a nice presentation. I mean, I guess you can carry around this box, but it's not really a carrying case. When I had my MG V2, it had a really nice carrying case with it, and it tucked everything in really, really nicely. This, however, just looks like a box, and although it's beautiful, presented really well, I just don't want to take that nice tight lid off every time I go to open this. I'd much rather a zipper pouch. Anyways, if you guys haven't ever opened one of these 3-axis gimbals, there's quite a few pieces to it, and they did make one big change with this that I absolutely love, and we'll talk about that. So right here, we've got a charger for the batteries. This comes with 2 sets of batteries. See, yeah, I couldn't use this all the time because this would be a pain to get out. So these things always come with some pretty honking proprietary batteries. These are 2200 milliamp hour lithium ion batteries, and they gave you 2 sets of them in here. Let's hope that these have some type of charge in it. This is the primary handle. This is all the actual gimbals. Looks like it's got some little strap on it just so it doesn't go wiggling around too much. Now, one change that they made with this, which was an absolute necessity, is that it has a quick plate built onto it. Hallelujah, because the last one, I put my own quick plate on it, but one of the problems that you run into when using a gimbal is that every time you take it off, you risk these little adjustments or not putting it on in the same spot. And then you have to go through and completely rebalancing it, which we're gonna balance this. I'll show you guys how much fun that is. What else do we got in here though? That's pretty much everything. There's this piece. This is for use as a tripod. And got one more little box. Oh, these are just all the like stainless steel stuff, the bolts and what have you. And this is for holding the lens. All right, so once you get the batteries in, gonna close that up, and then this attaches to the base down here. You can see easily how everything's gonna match up. So once you get it in, just tighten this down, and that's ready to go. And then this little tool, which kind of looks like a tripod mount, this little tool is really handy for balancing it. So tighten it into the bottom, So once you take your camera body and you put it on the quick release plate using the lower profile of the 2 screws, the other one is if you want to put your lens mount here in the front. But this is such a short lens that we're not going to need to do that. That's what this additional little screw and little lens holder are for. Oh, we're going to slide this on. You want to make sure that that's the side that you have facing forward. It's really easy to get mixed up and go backwards, but that's definitely the side that you want. So the first thing you want to do to balance is hold your roll gimbal up. This one, you want to support that, and then you want to make sure that the camera is staying perfectly level when it's tilted like this. You do that by controlling right here, loosen this up, and you bring this back. That's too far, that's perfect, right there. So once you get it in place, it's nice because it's really notched so you can let go even though it's loose and it'll still hold its place pretty well. The next thing we want to do is we want to try and level it like this, which we're going to do using the position of the plate. So we're going to loosen that up using this screw down here, and we're just going to push that back a little bit. And you want to get this as close as possible to all these positions because that's going to put less strain on the motors, which just makes it operate more efficiently, use less battery, and it'll just keep it lasting a longer time. So that's the first step, is when you're holding the roll arm, your tilt is perfectly level in both of those positions. Then we're going to address the roll arm. We don't want it to tilt this way anymore. We want it to lay perfectly horizontal. So we're going to open this one up and we're going to begin pushing this inward. So what's happened here for me is I've maxed it out to the right and it's still falling in that direction. So what I'm going to do is shift the camera a little bit more to the left down here on this one, which is this. So again, we're kind of moving the whole plate structure, not necessarily the quick plate, but the whole bottom plate. We're moving that along this axis. So that's this back one right here. We're gonna push it more off. And I'm gonna go a little bit too far just so I can bring this one back a little bit. Final one is the panning. So this is the position that we're going for. And right now it's tilting forward. You can see it's going this way. You control that using this one down here. So since it was falling forward, we need to pull that back just a tiny bit. That's really good. Something I just thought about, and you guys may want to think about in advance. I just balanced my camera perfectly, but as soon as I turn it on with this kit lens, that lens is going to come out a little bit and now it's going to tip too far forward. So when you go to balance it for the first time, make sure that you're using your lens in the configuration that you're going to shoot in, whether that's zoom. Some lenses are going to zoom out forward a little bit. Their body's going to go out further. So you just want to make sure that however you're going to shoot is how you're balancing it. Okay, we're good again. Thankfully that didn't take too long. It just took a little bit of adjustment on the tilt axis. So once we've got all that done, we're going to power it up. It's going to vibrate a little bit and we are in business. I can now take this off down here and show you guys. That's the gimbal action. So right now it's in its follow mode, where if I turn my wrist to the right or the left, it's going to pan in that direction. There's a few different modes on how you want it to control based on either thumb input or your motion, whether you want it to follow you when you tilt up and down, follow you when you pan left and right. And then there's this trigger that will also completely free it. It's very similar to the DJI Osmo, which I really liked how that one controlled. That trigger's a really welcome update from the MG V2. Now I'm gonna do a test video tomorrow. I wanna show you guys what to expect with just this, or using this while you're running, using this with in-body image stabilization, lens stabilization. People would be picking this up with use of a lot of different cameras, so I kind of want to show you guys what to expect with that. And I'm going to do everything at my widest of 24 millimeters. That's the widest that I have on the Sony, and I think that's fair. Obviously, some people are going to be using wider angle lenses, and those are going to get even less shake. I've got that 10 to 18 millimeter zoom coming from Sony, so I'm excited to get that, but I don't have it yet, so we're going to shoot with what we have now. All right, so I'm gonna power this down because I did also get another accessory with it. So we're gonna shut it down, and you can see I shut it down, but it didn't like fall over. That just shows you how well balanced everything is. So this is an optional accessory for it. This is a two-handed mount for it, and I'm holding it wrong right now, but it should look like this. It also folds. When I got it out of the box, it folded up, which was really nice. Takes a little bit less space that way, so this would be the smallest that you can make it. Two nuts have to go down when you open it up, and from there it's nice and tight. Flip it upside down. Since we have this off, it is safe to unscrew. We're gonna be unscrewing from up here where it connects to the actual gimbal. This has its own power and controls in it, so you don't borrow this like you did with the Feiyu MG-V2. These gimbals are certainly awkward just to hold, carry, set down. All right, we got it. So once that's tightened, so it's gonna have its same format. Once we open it up, it should still be balanced, which is great, right? And then over here, in the left handle, that's where the batteries go in this one. When you buy the kit, you do get 2 extra batteries. So now we're gonna turn it on. All the controls are right here on the right side. I think that's why it's a little bit pricier than the original version, because in the MG-V2, you would essentially take the control module from its single-handed operation and put that onto the other control, but then you were stuck with controls being in the middle, which I didn't really care for. Oh, this is nice. So this is how I plan on using it, because once your arms are separated like this, you just feel like you're way more in control as opposed to rotating at the wrist, and especially for like really smooth, long pans. And we've still got the trigger right here, so you can immediately disconnect from all of those panning and tilting options. Now I'm not recording anything on here. In fact, I don't even have a card in it, but just from the first look, I can tell you this is some really nice and smooth footage that we're getting out of this. So I'm really excited to use this. So my plan for tomorrow's content is to show you what type of results you're gonna get. So expect like a test footage of this while I'm running, while I'm walking, with in-body image stabilization on, with the lens stabilization on, just quite a few different looks so that you guys can see how this is gonna apply to different cameras. And then I'm gonna do one more piece of content on this where I go over all the kind of finer controls as well as the apps. You can get into all the details, like how quick it's going to react to your pan, kind of the finishing points, the sharpness of all the movements. You can control all that within the app. So I'm going to show you guys how to set that up so that you can get this to behave exactly how you want. But first impressions, I am super impressed and I'm really liking this over the Feiyu MG-V2. Again, I don't want to make it seem like the MG-V2 is bad. I love that thing. Big issue that this solves for me over the MG-V2 is I now have access to my audio port. So that is crucial for me in what I want to use this for, which is behind the scenes videos. Another reason I wanted to record this video in advance of the testing as well as the app controls is I wanted to give you guys time to leave any questions in the comments so that I could address them, especially in the test. I can try higher weights, I can try running, sprinting, I can try, I don't know, whatever you guys seem to want. I'm willing to try that out as long as it's not weird. That way you guys know before you make a purchase if this thing is going to be right for you. So consider subscribing if you're new here, leave a like if this video helped you out, and comment if you have any questions or requests for the testing video that I'm going to do tomorrow. And if you want to chat about gear with me and thousands of other photographers, make sure to join Photography Gear Chat, which is linked in the description. Until next time, keep on shooting, YouTube. Should I be like Jared Polin and just do a crazy thumbnail?